Quiet as the grave, the Sisters of Silence march onto the battlefield. Each of these devout warriors is a living weapon, exuding an unnatural aura that could scramble the minds of their enemies and wound the souls of those who channel warp energy. Though scattered throughout the Imperium, the Sisters of Silence still gather to deliver the Emperor's unspoken wrath, with members of various battle squads joining forces to bolster their strength. The ominous hush that surrounds them is shattered when they open fire, sowing strings of flesh-ripping explosion amongst their enemies with Umbra-patterned bolt guns. Whatever survives this initial onslaught is either consumed by the gouts of burning promethium spewed forth by their flamers, or cut down by the savage swing of an executioner great blade. What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. In this video, we will be looking over the force of the Sisters of Silence and just giving you a little bit of lore, a little bit of background, and my thoughts as to why I believe GW needs to revamp and overall just give us more models, more lore for these Sisters of Silence, which are desperately in need of more models. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into this video. This Imperial force of all female blanks hunt down the psychic threats against the Imperium. They often fight alongside the Adeptus Custodes, and they were able to freely walk around the Imperial Palace amongst them. They were heavily dispatched against many threats during the Great Crusade, but they now work in secret after the Emperor was interred upon the Golden Throne. However, once again, they have begun to operate more openly under the leadership of the Primarch Roboute Guilliman. What sets these warriors apart from other Imperial forces is that every single member is an untouchable, or otherwise known as a null. They have no warp signature, and thus cannot be affected by warp abilities. Just by standing near a null, one feels uneasy, and psychers would be unable to cast their abilities. This is a huge benefit for the Imperium when fighting against the forces of chaos, rogue psychers, and many Xeno races, such as the psychically powerful Eldari. Where the Grey Knights are often fighting fire with fire, the Sisters of Silence are fighting fire with water. And now with this warp tear known as the Cicatrix Maledictum splitting the galaxy in half, they are needed more than ever. Unfortunately, the Sisters of Silence never really had a range big enough to warrant their own codex. They were first seen way back in the day in an Inquisitor codex alongside the Custodes, Witch Hunters, and a bunch of other obscure Imperial forces. More recently, they have been lumped alongside the Adeptus Custodes, and because of that, we don't really get to see them flourish as they should. In more recent times, a lot of people have been calling for a more female representation in the Warhammer 40K universe, and I think GW has been doing just that. They have been bolstering the Sisters of Battle with new units, a new codex, and they've been a little bit more up in the forefront with 9th edition. But I think that GW should kind of change gears and focus more on giving us more kits, more lore, more novels surrounding those of the Sisters of Silence. Because yes, we finally all got what we all wanted, and that was plastic Sisters of Battle, and with their new 9th edition codex, I think they've gotten enough love from GW for now, and I think they should, like I said earlier, focus on the Sisters of Silence. Now, I don't think there's a need for female Space Marines. What I do feel like is that there's a bunch of lore that is hidden deep within obscure novels and old battles fought during the Beast, and even in more recent times, Guilliman fought against Magnus on Luna. The Sisters of Silence were there. So the lore is there for the Sisters. GW just has to make that more of a spotlight for them. They can easily add in named characters such as the Soulless Queen, Now that already sounds really badass. Or they can have like sister commanders such as Aphany and Belus become actual characters and be used on the battlefield. Because when you look at the units within the Adeptus Custodes Codex, there aren't very many of those units that are Sisters of Battle, or Sisters of Silence for that matter. When it comes to their weapons and war gear, they have some really cool options that are very, very unique. The Vratine armor is just super mobile and allows them to have super fast reflexes. Void Sheen cloaks allow them to absorb energy and diffuse attacks, while the Spectra vestments camouflage the sister to her surroundings. These are all cool lore things that can be easily implemented into the rules for 9th edition. When it comes to the actual weaponry that they have, they tend to use a lot of flamers and execution blades. On top of that, they have access to psych out grenades, crossbow launchers, and needle weapons that are potent against psychers. This and so much more are awesome instruments of destruction that GW can capitalize on and really make this faction into something unique and cool looking. Almost similar to what like the Adeptus Mechanicus is. It's still an Imperial force, but it's vastly different than like Space Marines, the Imperial Guard, Sisters of Battle, and like I said, the Sisters of Silence could be akin to that. So like I said guys, just go ahead and take a little browse through the Games Workshop website to see how little units of these Sisters of Silence there are. You could even head on over to the Forge World site, where they do have a few, I guess, kits, if you can call it that. They're mostly just like upgrade stuff to give them like dual pistols and stuff like that. They do have a transport that looks very unique, and I think they could capitalize on like the different amount of things that they can have. Like, these guys are anti-psyker, and there are a lot of psyker armies currently in 9th edition that are going to be coming out with new codices, such as the Grey Knights, the Thousand Suns, Chaos. So I think having a new established force for the Sisters of Silence could bring in some revenue that GW would want to get in on, because again, it really gives you more of a fleshed out understanding for who they are, because they are really important in the lore. Like, they are living and fighting alongside the Emperor, at least back in the Horus Heresy. They lived in the Imperial Palace with him. They were essentially where like I guess you could say the Custodes are the right hand of the Emperor. The Sisters of Silence were the left. So with that being said guys, let me know your thoughts below on what you think the Sisters of Silence really need to come out as their own codex. Do you agree with this? And if not, tell me why. I would really want to know your thoughts below. With that being said guys, that's all I got for today. Thank you for listening. And of course, if you want to support us more, you guys can head on over to our Patreon page, where a simple $1 pledged really helps us in bringing you 40K videos each and every day. That's all I got. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.